You could have done more. You started that project, but you didn't finish it. Why didn't you actually close more business? Why didn't you make more money? The voices that are asking us, did we do enough? Pressure is privilege. Because here's the truth about pressure. It is actual feedback. Feedback that is telling you that you care usually shows up right before a major breakthrough. That's right. It means you are very close to your actual breakthrough. Focus beats fear, reps beat reinvention, consistency beats complexity every single time. And your breakthrough is on the other side of the monotony. If you had 1 week to do it, what would be your way to actually get that done? Welcome back, guys. It is time for another episode of the LFG Energy podcast. And I'm really excited about today's topic because I think this time of year tends to bring out a lot of whispers and voices in our heads that are being reflective, but sometimes they can turn a little bit negative. And what I mean by this is the voices that are asking us, did we do enough? Or the ones that aren't even asking, but they're actually telling you, you could have done more. You started that project, but you didn't finish it. Why didn't you actually close more business? Why didn't you make more money? And when we hear these questions, they basically amount to what is known in our head as pressure. And first of all, guys, I think we all want to reframe and normalize pressure, but also understand that it is privilege. There's that great expression out there that pressure is privilege. If you are feeling any sort of pressure, that means you are in a position to do something great or that something great is actually expected of you. And if that's the case, you have no choice but to look at it as a privilege. It is a gift. It's an opportunity for you to rise or to have a breakthrough. And I'm going to talk on today's episode about recognizing this pressure, seeing it for what it is because there's feedback involved, and actually what type of a breakthrough you can expect to come by way of feeling this pressure. Now, if you have been asking yourself those questions or you've been feeling those thoughts of you're not further along, you should have made more money, you didn't get all these things done, I want to say to you, first and foremost, congratulations. You're a human and it is normal to feel these things. So first and foremost, just acknowledge that. Stop being unkind to yourself because nobody got every single thing done that they wanted to get done this year. I don't care what they tell you or what people show online. And this is the time of year when everyone is boasting about all their wins and how incredible of a year it was. I want us, as we so often do here on the LFG Energy podcast, because we keep it real and we keep it vulnerable and we're all about growth. We're all about getting better. But I want us on this episode to acknowledge where maybe we did fall short, recognize what those things are as an opportunity, take that feedback and set ourselves up for a major breakthrough in 2026. And that's where we're going to begin, guys, which is acknowledging that pressure is kind of like getting a push notification from life into your phone. It's reminding you that something either needs to be done or paid attention to right here and now. Because here's the truth about pressure. It is actual feedback. Feedback that is telling you that you care. Because let's be honest, if you weren't feeling pressure about something that you're doing or within your job, then it would mean that you actually don't really care or you're not that serious about it. It matters to you. That's why you're feeling the way that you feel. The pressure is there because this is important to you. It is significant for you to get this done. The cause was worthy, and even though you may not be done yet, you're feeling this pressure for that very reason. It's because it matters. And to take the opposite, guys, if it didn't matter, you would be checked out. You wouldn't care, and therefore we wouldn't even be having this conversation because it wouldn't even be acknowledged or felt as pressure. It would just be something else that's taking up space. So remember, that pressure is reminding you that you actually care. It's also telling you where adjustments need to be made. Just like that expression that success leaves clues, pressure sheds light. It's shedding light on the areas and where you need to make these small tweaks or adjustments. Not major ones, but small refinements in your business or in your life or in your approach. And above all, remember this, pressure usually shows up right before a major breakthrough. That's right, it means you are very close to your actual breakthrough. And that's what makes this conversation so exciting. Next, I want to talk about something very simple because this podcast episode today is not about all the tools that are out there, whether they are AI or specific platforms or technology or things that you need to sign up for and do so that you can have a breakthrough. This is not that conversation at all. It's actually the opposite. I heard this amazing expression from Chris Harder when I was recently attending a mastermind. And Chris is a very well-known entrepreneur, someone who's had a lot of success in the finance and banking background. And he's also creating something pretty special right now in the private lending space, which is going to come out in another month or two. But he said something that just pierced my soul, and it was that the money is in the monotony. Most people react to things that are boring in their business as a sign that they need to just start doing something else, or that they need to completely switch lanes, and that because this is boring, I'm not being challenged, and therefore I need to push myself in a totally different direction. And they do this while forgetting that this one boring thing was actually making them money. It was actually working. And that's what I mean by the money is in the monotony. All of us as entrepreneurs, and I'm guilty of this at least a few times during the year, and I have to rope myself back in. We all suffer from shiny object syndrome. We see this course that's out there. We are advertised that product or this silver special bullet or magic purple pill on Instagram, and we want to get it. And then you find that you've subscribed to or paid for 10 different things from which you've accomplished virtually nothing because you've only done 5% of each of those things, as opposed to going all in on the one thing. And that one thing, as boring as it might be, is your moneymaker. So recognize that if you do see or feel that something is boring, it's not a problem. Boring is actually a clue. It's the clue that's telling you that this is working for you. So instead of constantly wanting the new thing, take a look and see whatever it is that you do for a living, and look at the people who are really successful. And I bet you one of the common denominators are that they stick with the one thing that helps them win, and they just keep doing it over and over and over again. Consistency beats complexity every single time. Remember that. Consistency beats complexity all day. So let's say you work in sales, and instead of signing up for that sexy new AI sales feature, maybe you are just someone who's really good at calling your database or your book of past customers, and you do this regularly, and it always results in some kind of business. That's your one thing. That is the monotony where your money is going to continue to be made. Maybe you're someone that hosts events for what it is that you do, and every time you do it, some magic actually happens. There's your monotony. Keep doing it. Maybe you're someone that mails out postcards to your audience, or you farm a certain database of prospects to generate business. And every time you do it, it somehow yields an amazing result. There's your thing. Monotony prints money because monotony builds momentum. And that momentum comes from just sticking with that one thing. So real quick here, regardless of what you do for a living, or if you're a student, you're an aspiring entrepreneur, you're an athlete, just take a moment and either think about or write down the one thing that you know will generate you a win. If you needed to get a win in 1 week, if I told you you need to make a sale, you need to land a new prospect, you need to identify this new project, you need to raise your grade, whatever it is that I'm giving you as an objective, if you had 1 week to do it, what would be your way to actually get that done? Now, a lot of people that listen to this podcast are in sales, just like I am, because we are in the service industry, and so we are selling something. I sell money for a living because I work in the mortgage space. So if I had to get a client, I know for me, my one thing that I could do, and this is the least sexy thing considering all the technology and everything that I have at my disposal, would just be good old-fashioned emailing out to my past clients. I know every time I do this or check in with them, it yields me a result. So that's my one thing. What is yours? Okay, so now that you have that one thing, I'm going to remind you that sticking with this one thing is what you need to do, because you don't need a brand new strategy or a whole new approach. You hear a lot of people around this time of year, reinvent yourself. New year, new you. Taglines like this that basically are telling you that whatever you did up to this point is not working, so throw it all out and start completely over. Now, there's a marketing and business game that's attached to that type of psychology that's being sold to you. But as the expression goes, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Breakthroughs don't come from complete and total reinvention. They come from refinement. And a lot of that refinement is sometimes really, really small. I'm reminded of a conversation that I heard Tony Robbins giving to all of us in the audience when I attended one of his incredible in-person events. And if you've been to a Tony Robbins event, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They're high energy, they move the needle in your life, they're extremely emotional experiences. And he talked about how he had to fix his golf swing, and how initially, because his golf swing was bad, he had a little bit of a slice or a hook. I don't know which one it was. And please don't quote me on this because I am the world's worst golfer. He thought that he needed new clubs, maybe an entirely new outfit, maybe an entirely new coach, a whole new approach. When in reality, his golf instructor adjusted his swing, or more specifically, the way that his hands were positioned and how he held his club by 2 millimeters. 2 millimeters, that's it. To make it so exact, and that 2 millimeter refinement, just like I'm talking to you guys now about your business, resulted in the ball going straight instead of hooking or slicing. That's all it was. It wasn't a massive reinvention, but a tiny, tiny refinement. So guys, just remember, you rarely ever need to switch lanes or do a complete overhaul. You just need to tune the vehicle. And that's where people can take advantage of what's going on around them. Don't get me wrong. There are a lot of tools and AI and software that's out there to help improve our lives. Problem is the noise and the volume at which they are all being offered to us. So much so to the point that everyone is acting quickly because these things are coming at us so quick, and we're not actually focusing on one or two key things. Tools and resources that are out there are designed to help enhance the things that we are already good at, not necessarily replace them. So as part of your small refinements, you can take on some new technology or adopt new strategies and utilize tools that are out there for you. But you don't need to completely rewrite the whole story, because if you do, you will continually end up burnt out. And remember this, burnout by definition is basically continuing to do too many things at a very low output percentage. Most people in sales, I can tell you from my experience, have burnout because they are doing 30 different things and they keep switching lanes after never seeing something all the way through to the finish line, getting frustrated or impatient that the results aren't happening and thinking, I need something else. I need to switch lanes. I need to try something new. You do this enough inside of a year, and not only will you go insane, you might even quit your industry before you even get your shot at your breakthrough. So I don't want that to happen to anyone. Again, regardless of what industry or background you have, just do your absolute best to avoid that burnout and understand where it's coming from. So now let's get into the breakthrough. Now that we know that we want to focus on one thing, we're setting ourselves up for that breakthrough because it's just some tiny refinements. And I'm going to talk to you about the two different kinds of breakthroughs. And what I mean by two different kinds, it doesn't mean the result that they would actually yield you in the way of the breakthrough. I'm talking about where people come from. To have a breakthrough, you need to be coming from a place where that breakthrough is actually needed. Maybe you're a little bit down in the dumps, or you've had a moment, or you feel really stuck. And you have to do something in order to get to that next level or break that ceiling. So the first type of breakthrough that I'm going to talk about, or the avatar of this person that's going to experience the breakthrough, is called the climber. Now, the climber is someone who has been doing everything right. Maybe they have coaching, maybe they're super disciplined, they've got structures in place, they've got daily habits and routines, and they've been doing everything right for a really long time, yet the result is not there. They're super persistent, they refuse to give up, and they always say, I'm doing all the right things, I'm just gonna keep trying, I'm just gonna keep trying. Now, this type of person doesn't need any sort of reinvention or overhaul, and they certainly don't need more pressure. The 90% pressure that they're applying is all accurate. It's just what do they do with that other 10%? And in most cases, guys, they just need to shift a little bit. Think about something that's over your head that you're trying to push through that's really, really heavy and it's dense. You're not getting anything every time you apply pressure to it, but if you move maybe just a few feet to the right or left, it's a little softer. And if you push hard enough right there, you're going to go through that space and have your breakthrough. And that's exactly what the climber experiences. The climber experiences the energy of almost. I almost made it. If only just one more thing. If I had just another day, I could have gotten through. One more sales cycle, whatever it is. So if you're one of these people, recognize that you are not broken and you're not doing everything wrong. Keep hammering the same thing and apply that pressure. Just refine some of your steps. And with those small 2 millimeter like adjustments, you will have your breakthrough. The next one, which I can personally relate to, and if you've listened to some of the early episodes of this podcast, a lot of my solo episodes were around the Rocky 3 moments. And I call this breakthrough the fallen champion. Now, in referring back to Rocky and what I discussed in those early episodes, I talked about the person who had done everything right and was on top of the mountain, at one point thought of themselves as invincible, and then something happens and they come tumbling down. The rug gets pulled out from underneath them or they get knocked off and everything gets called into question. They had the momentum and then the market changed or life changed. In my case, I lost, at which point I was going to hopefully ride off into the sunset and call it a career, but that didn't happen. Life and the universe had another plan for me. Instead, I fell completely off the mountain, scratched my head and wondered what was I going to do next. So you go into rebuild mode. But again, we don't want to do something that's very drastic or dramatic. Recognize that if you follow or fit this pattern of what I'm talking about with the fallen champion modality, that you are someone who has experienced success at some point, which means you had it and it wasn't any accident. And that is magical because it means it can be recaptured again. We just have to find the formula to get us there. Now, in my case, when I had my breakthrough under this mode, I only made a few refinements. I didn't change my team. I kept everybody in place. In fact, I got rid of no one. I cleaned up some things that were in my personal life that may have been holding me back. And it turns out that that was the actual case after the final result. But I just made small adjustments. And that's what I'm going to encourage you to do here. And the reason why this was called the Rocky 3 moment, which is my favorite Rocky, is because he was winning, he was on top of the world, and by way of losing focus and losing his hunger, everything fell apart. His manager died, he got really destroyed by this one character, which was Mr. T in the movie, and then he questioned, was I ever really that good? that I even deserved to be a champion. His confidence was shattered. And so in putting together a new team, and his overhaul was a little bit more dramatic, but he got the right people around him, reconnected with himself, found that old sense of purpose, and ignited it with the hunger that got him to that championship podium in the first place. He was able to string it all back together and get back to the mountaintop. So just remember, if you had success before, you are still that person again. You might have forgotten what they look like or what it felt like to be that person, but you can reconnect and make this happen again. So remember these three things, guys. Pressure means you are in the game. Pressure means that the story isn't over. It's just a comma, not a period. Pressure is the invitation to get focused and let's fucking go. It's not telling you to quit, even though it might feel like that. It's telling you the opposite. To recommit. Now I want to leave you guys with the actual breakthrough formula. If you've enjoyed this episode so far and you want to make sure that you set yourself up for your breakthrough, figure out what that one thing is that you're good at. Acknowledge that maybe you are either the climber or you're the fallen champion and that your breakthrough is just around the corner. And with the implementation of this formula that I'm about to give you, you're going to have it. So a breakthrough, guys, equals first the quotient of doing the one thing, picking that one thing, and multiplying it by the monotony. Do it over and over again, daily, weekly, monthly. Do it until it becomes a second nature habit. Then you're going to take that result, add it to small adjustments. Because again, at the end of the day, we have to be making those small refinements and tweaks constantly. That's what being a business owner or a human being is. Look at the pathway, make the adjustments, and stay on it. And then the last component that you need to add this all to is belief. And this is perhaps the most important quotient here in the formula, guys. You have to believe that you are good at what you do, or better yet, that you are the best at what you do. You have to believe that you are the best salesperson, that you're the best student, that you're the best athlete, that you're the best next champion or current champion, that you're the best person that's due for that raise or that promotion. Because if you don't believe it, nobody else will. So it starts with you. So before you go any further with this formula, take a good look in the mirror and realign with what made you feel your best. And if you've never felt your best, let's figure out what's going to make you feel your best. Because once you have that belief, you'll be unstoppable when you put the rest of the formula together. So one more time, guys, one thing, make sure you choose your lane. Monotony, do it every single week or every single day. Add that with small adjustments, which are the slight tweaks and not the total reinventions. And finally, add it all up together and include your belief, which is your internal story that's shaping the outcome. So at the end of the day, guys, you don't need to learn everything. You don't need to reinvent things. You don't need to subscribe to more stuff. You don't need to keep up with every single trend out there. You just need to recommit or commit in the first place to the thing that works for you, that one thing. And trust that when you feel pressure, that it's not a negative thing, that it's feedback and a light that's telling you that you're very close to experiencing your actual personal breakthrough. Focus beats fear, reps beat reinvention, and your breakthrough is on the other side of the monotony. Thanks for listening, guys. And I have two quick things I want to ask you. Number one, what is one small thing or refinement that you can make to the one thing I asked you about earlier? We identified that one thing that you're good at or that you know will yield you a result of some kind, and it's probably the most boring thing that you do. But help identify, but for yourself here so that you can get the most out of this episode, write down what is one small adjustment that you can make to that one thing to make it stronger or better. And the last thing that I will ask you guys is that if you got something out of this episode, please take a screenshot of it, share it on social media, and make sure to tag me in it because it will help me create more episodes like this to reach more people just like you. And please, at any time, share your feedback with me. Let me know what you're going through or how you're about to experience your breakthrough because I'm here for all of you that listen to this show because it means that much to me. Send me a DM at Arjun Mortgage on Instagram and I would love to connect. Thanks for listening, guys, and we will catch you next week on the LFG Energy podcast.